Maya sat at her new desk, polished wood, a shiny nameplate, and a laptop that seemed smarter than she felt. She was 32, a Nigerian single mom, and after years of struggle, she had finally broken into a reputable marketing firm. By all measures, she had made it. Yet her chest felt tight. Every time her team lead praised her work, a voice in her head whispered, "It's luck, not skill. They'll soon find out. You don't belong here." Each time colleagues laughed at inside jokes she didn't catch, the voice added, "You're an outsider. Just keep quiet." And when she was handed big accounts, instead of pride, she felt dread. They trust me too much. I'll disappoint them. Maya had been asked to lead a short briefing at her new job. Nothing too heavy, just 5 minutes to update the team on a campaign she was tracking. She had prepared notes, practiced in front of the mirror, even stayed up late, polishing her slides. But the moment she stood at the front of the conference room, her chest tightened. Why did they ask you? You're not the smartest in the room. They'll realize you don't deserve this job. The voice of doubt drowned out her confidence. Her first slide appeared, but instead of her rehearsed opening, she stumbled over her words. She skipped a point, then rushed through another. Her hands shook so much, she clicked past 2 slides too quickly. A colleague tried to ask a question, but she froze, convinced the whole room could see through her. By the time she sat down, her face was burning. The team lead gave her a polite smile, but the silence around the table stung more than any criticism could. That night, Maya replayed the flop in her head 100 times. She realized it wasn't her lack of skill that failed her. It was the weight of imposter syndrome. The campaign was solid. The ideas were good, but she had let fear steal her voice. Maya arrived at the office the morning after her flop with a practiced smile. She laughed lightly in the kitchen, made small talk near the printer, and even joked, "Guess I was nervous yesterday, huh?" Her colleagues nodded politely, but she could still feel the echo of her failed presentation hanging in the air. At her desk, she pulled up her slides again, pretending to review them. Inside, her chest still tightened at the memory. "They probably think you don't belong here," the voice whispered. "One mistake is enough to prove you're not good enough." Then, her colleague Funko, sharp, confident, and always eager to shine, stopped by with a smile that felt too smooth. "Rough presentation yesterday, Maya. Don't worry, you'll get the hang of it," Funk said, tapping her own neat stack of reports. "By the way, the team lead asked me to draft the client follow-up. I'll send it out today." Maya's stomach dropped. The task had been hers. She forced another smile, nodding. "Sure, thanks for covering." Her voice sounded steady, but inside the shame pulsed. She wanted to fight for herself, to prove she was capable, but the thought rose again. What if they trust her more than you? Maybe she deserves it. The rest of the day, Maya buried herself in smaller tasks, working twice as hard, but speaking half as much. Outwardly, she looked composed. Inwardly, imposter syndrome gnawed at her, louder than any colleague's words. When the next presentation came up, Maya was already nervous. The memory of her last flop clung to her like a shadow. She wanted to redeem herself, but the voice in her head whispered, "You'll mess it up again." Better not risk it, so quietly, she handed her slides over to Funke. "Maybe you should take this one," Maya said, trying to sound casual. Funke smirked, always eager to shine, and agreed, but on the morning of the presentation, Funke didn't show up. A sick call, a vague email, and suddenly, all eyes in the boardroom turned to Maya. Her throat tightened. She wanted to shrink into her chair. Then, her team lead spoke firmly, but kindly. "Maya, this is your work. You know it better than anyone. Why don't you walk us through it?" For a moment, the imposter voice screamed, "You'll fail. They'll see you're not capable." But then Maya looked at the slides she had prepared. She remembered the late nights, the research, the careful strategy she had built. She took a deep breath, stood, and began. At first, her voice wavered, but as she explained each point, her confidence grew. The clients leaned in, questions came, and she answered with clarity she didn't know she had. By the final slide, the room was nodding in approval. When she sat down, her team lead gave her a proud smile. That's the Maya we need. For the first time, the imposter voice was silent, and the moral is, fear convinces us to hand over opportunities, but courage allows us to reclaim them. By facing her doubts instead of running from them, Maya learned that imposter syndrome only has power if she lets it speak louder than her own hard work.